Hey, everybody. Is it the time we've been waiting for, or what's going on here? Finally, we have Final Cut Pro 10.6.2. Couple of comments here. The updates are quite good. Nice tracker improvements, but still not enough to be better than Resolve, especially when Resolve 18 arrives. Well, we'll see what happens. Certainly, Apple has the AI technology to have done their version of Magic Mask to complement the tracking. So one of the things they didn't mention, now we have seen the beta for 3 weeks, 4 weeks now. So we knew that we were going to see the voice isolation feature and dupe detection. So the release of them today are certainly welcome, but anticlimactic to say the least. We've been seeing them for a week or two now? I mean, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. So Steve Martin did a video of those weeks ago. Now there's some improvements to the motion tracking, which are quite interesting. Thank you for the live. Good to see you again. Thank you, Amar. Thanks for joining us here today. So please post your comments, what you think about 10.6.2 so far. We're going to go over some of the perhaps things you didn't know about it. One of the interesting things that I get a kick out of this, I'll be going to NAB in a couple weeks. There's still some things about Final Cut Pro at NAB, not things about Final Cut Pro, but there's going to be a Final Cut Pro presence on the show floor this time. First time. It's been a long time since Final Cut Pro's been on the show floor. Not by Apple. I'm not by Apple. We got another comment here from our friend Tangier. Good afternoon, Richard. How you doing, Tangier? Glad you could make it today. This is one of the things I got a big kick out of. Apple press release. Apple introduces a new version of iMovie featuring storyboards and Magic Movie. No mention of Final Cut Pro, but iMovie. iMovie. That's what Apple considers important news today. Not that Final Cut Pro was updated, but iMovie was updated. Okay, I guess that's Apple corporate making that decisions, but you can't even mention that Final Cut Pro was updated in your newsroom, Apple? Come on. iMovie is consumer. You want to deal with professionals. You can mention both. You can mention both Final Cut Pro and iMovie, but they only mentioned iMovie. Very interesting. Still waiting on that audio mixer? Forget about it. The audio mixer's there. Okay, I've heard from multiple reliable sources that the mixer's been there for a year or two. It's already there. They hadn't released it for whatever reason. But one good thing about this release is my expectations of the Final Cut Pro team has not changed. It's like right below, like mid-level. It didn't go up. It's about the same. My expectations are not that high anymore. They used to be a lot higher years ago. But that's fine. If that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. Nice 2 functions in the update. Don't forget about the optimization for the Macs and Ultra processors. People owning those should see a performance jump. You know, when they introduced Final Cut Pro 10.6 or 10.6.1, they talked about a performance jump for the MacBook Pro. I didn't see it over my Mac Pro, 2019 Mac Pro. The Mac Pro is probably a little bit faster than the MacBook Pro, although I do like my MacBook Pro, don't get me wrong. Where did all those requested features go? I find the nudge marker left and right. So 6 out of 10 for this release. Yeah, like I said, this has met my expectations of the Final Cut Pro team over the last 3 years, 4 years. It didn't exceed them. It didn't disappoint, but a little anticlimactic considering we've already seen the main 2 releases, the main 2 features in the beta. We've already seen those. There's some nice enhancements to the tracking, don't get me wrong. Eric says, not seeing much of a performance boost so far. So one of the things for the audio enhancement, you have to be on Monterey 10.3. I'm on Monterey 10.2.1, so I went to look for it. I didn't see it, and that's the reason. I will update later today. Always make a copy of your Final Cut Pro app before you update. Garrett says your Mac Pro is faster than the MacBook Pro with Max chip. In a lot of ways it is faster. And they talked about a performance boost back in 10.6 came out. I didn't really see it over the Mac Pro. Both of them are fast. That's what I'm saying. Both of them are fast. There's some other things in my MacBook Pro that exporting H.264 and H.265 seem to be better, but other things the Mac Pro absolutely does better. Logic, for example, with audio. The Mac Pro is better than the MacBook Pro Max at this point. Now, going forward, I expect it to be optimized more. Love my MacBook Pro. I'm going to be taking it to NAB with me when I'm streaming live from there. The good thing about NAB is that there will be a central place for people that are interested in Final Cut Pro to congregate on the NAB floor, show floor. I guess Final Cut Pro 11 will be the moment Apple finally can compete with Adobe and Resolve. Well, I'm not a fan of Adobe because of the subscription model more than anything. I would never get Premiere because of that, and I'm a big fan of Blackmagic Resolve. So I know there's lots of people that use both. There's plenty of space out there for Avid, Premiere, Resolve. Everybody can use what they want. I still go toward Final Cut Pro every time I go to edit. If you use Color Finale, don't upgrade. It will not work until Color Finale is upgraded. Absolutely. Never update a middle of a project. I always duplicate my app before I update it. And if you're going to update your OS, make a version that you can reinstall the old version of the Mac OS in case something is critical, mission critical that you need. Duplicate the app. Go to the app, applications folder, select Final Cut Pro app, Apple D makes a duplicate. Coco says, hi, Richard. I'm looking forward to see you at the NAB. Absolutely. I'll be there Sunday. It opens on Sunday this time. There is going to be no Blackmagic press conference like there has been in the past. I've heard that because I was a little bit concerned about that because of my timing to get there. I probably will get there, and I'll get there in the morning. I'll get there before noon for sure. Color finale doesn't work unless you boot into emulation mode. Yeah, they need to get their act together. Absolutely. What was that thing in iMovie and Final Cut Pro that isn't mentioned? What was that thing you said was an iMovie and Final Cut Pro that isn't mentioned in the Final Cut Pro features? What did I say that? I'm not sure, Scott, what you're referring to. What was that thing you said was an iMovie and Final Cut Pro that isn't in the Final Cut Pro? Oh, I'm saying that what I'm saying was the beta release. We've seen all the videos. Steve Martin did a video. iJustine talked about a video. Somebody else did. Oh, Scott, you did an article yourself talking about the dupe detection and some other things. There's a lot of enhancements to tracking in this version of Final Cut Pro that wasn't covered when the beta was talked about. I think that's maybe what you're talking about. Right? Is that it? So let's look at this a second. Here we go. Final Cut Pro release notes. Now, of course, we know about the main features. Quickly locate media that appears in more than one project using highlighted clip ranges or the timeline index. Isn't it curious that they can't call this dupe detection? Quickly locate media that appears more than once in a project using highlighted clip ranges or the timeline index. Why don't you say dupe detection? Dupe detection is the industry standard. It's the industry standard, dupe detection. Nowhere in that sentence does it say dupe detection. But dupe detection is the industry standard term for what this is, from what I understand. So instead they had this long, convoluted sentence. Quickly locate media that appears more than once in a project using highlighted clip ranges or the timeline index. Why not say dupe detection and then say which you can quickly locate media? There's nowhere that it says dupe detection. Industry standard term, Final Cut Pro team, you should change that. Use industry standard terms. Improve the clarity of speech by adjusting levels of background noise using machine learning requires Monterey 2.12.3 or later. So I duplicated my app in the apps folder, in the application folder, updated Final Cut Pro 10.6.2, opened it up. I went to look for the voice isolation feature. It wasn't there in the audio inspector panel because I didn't update to 12.3 yet. So you have to update to 12.3. Scott says, oh yeah, I thought it was something else, clicked in and heard something mid-sentence. Interesting, it's called timeline index instead of storyline index. Yeah. Well, storyline, it is, or should be called project index, right? Because they call that the project. Final Cut Pro does. I call it the timeline. I don't pay attention to what Final Cut team or Apple says you're supposed to call something. If you called it Final Cut Pro X, that doesn't make any difference to me. If you call it Final Cut Pro 10, that doesn't make any difference. I call projects, the industry standard project. I call the timeline in Final Cut Pro the timeline. I don't call it a project. Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't call it a timeline either. Exactly. They should call it the project index based on their terminology. What is it with Apple and not using industry standard terms? They're not the leader in the industry. Final Cut Pro is not the leader in the industry. Okay, there's 4 leaders. There's Premiere, there's Avid, there is Blackmagic Resolve, and there's Final Cut Pro. So I don't know what it is about them that they can't use an industry standard term like dupe detection. I don't think there's any copyright on it. But of course, they just couldn't call it by its proper name. Industry standard name, exactly. If you're going by Final Cut Pro nomenclature, you would call it the project index. The project index, even though I never call my timeline the project. Never. I call it the timeline. It's the timeline. I don't call it project. I don't care what the Final Cut Pro team says. I call it the timeline. I don't call it the project. Right, but in their text, they called it a timeline, which I found peculiar, yet I still agree they should use some of those industry standard terms. Why not? Apple does not care about standards. If Apple wants to be accepted in the industry, I think they do, they should use standard nomenclature. It's dupe detection. I believe it's dupe detection, unless there's some specific reason why they don't. It's just a peculiar quirk that they have about that. Anyway, let's go back here. Let me go back here one time. Just a second, make this one comment. Well, not everything that opens in the timeline is in the project. But Apple calls the timeline a project. A project. They even refuse to move away from events and project terms. Listen, Final Cut Pro team, I'll be glad to help you sort some of these things out I don't have to see the beta, but I can work on the current project. I mean, if you want to show me the beta, that's fine. I'm never going to reveal any secrets that I'm not supposed to. That's not what I do. But I like talking about things that maybe I couldn't talk about if I saw the beta. But I can help you with other things. I can help you get some of these quirks that you have smoothed out. Or maybe Apple wants to set a new standard. Apple is not the leader in post-production, okay? Final Cut Pro is not the leader. There's 4 main NLEs. Final Cut is one of them. They're not leading the industry, okay? They're not. If anybody's leading the industry, I'd have to say it's Resolve with all their constant updates. But then you have the Hollywood industry that uses Avid all the time. Other places use Premiere. I see ads all the time for people on Premiere. Some of them are Apple, some of them are for Apple. Apple doesn't lead, okay? They have a few innovative features. The timeline index is really nice. The magnetic timeline, either you like it or you don't. That's very innovative. But Tangier says, and yet they felt compelled to change the blade tool to scissors. That's not important to me. I don't know why that something like that is important to them. I guess it is. They changed it twice, right, Tangier? They changed it, angled it differently, the scissors differently. I don't know. Where do they do that? What do you mean, Nathan? I missed that. The support docs make many references to timeline, yes, but in Final Cut Pro, a project is a timeline. Not an event, not a library. A project is a timeline. So Final Cut Pro calls the timeline a project. It's also a timeline as well. But it's a project. Every project, you click on it, it's a timeline. No, I understand they call it the timeline, but they also call it a project. Who else in the industry, Premiere, Resolve, Avid, who else calls the timeline a project? Nobody. Only Final Cut Pro calls it a project. It's just a peculiar quirk that they have about nomenclature. I don't know why they don't stick to some standards. I think I may have had those guys on, Tangier. Cinematch? I don't know. I'm probably one of the few that argue Final Cut Pro's terminology actually makes sense over industry standard when it comes to some of this stuff. Dupe detection? You don't think that they should use the term dupe detection for this feature that they have today? Dupe detection is an industry standard. Avid, Premiere, Resolve, dupe detection. They couldn't even use those words. I'm not sure. Project. When I say to a client, I'm working on your project, I do not mean that I'm working on a specific timeline. The project is like the library. It's the whole package. That's what I'm working on, not a project timeline. Everything. I'm working on organizing your media. I'm working on making custom titles and stuff. So project is another one. I don't use project to mean a timeline. I use project to mean an all-encompassing thing. Most of my students, after learning Resolve and Final Cut, run back to Final Cut. Yeah, I like Resolve, and I like Blackmagic a lot, mainly just because of their different approach to the management, of course. Listen, every time I go to edit something, I always go to Final Cut, Final Cut, Final Cut. Even though I have the studio license for Resolve, I don't need to be an industry leader to invent something new. You don't need to look at Adobe. They copy a lot from Apple and Blackmagic. But who was the first NLE that had JK and L? It wasn't Final Cut. Final Cut took that from, I believe, Avid. It was the industry standard. So it goes back and forth. I'm not worried about, the point is none of the NLEs are the leader. None of them. They all have their segment of the NLE. If you want to call NLE, it's not wars really. It's just, I'm just saying, none of them are leading the industry. They all have different things that they do that are innovative. Apple certainly, Final Cut Pro certainly has had its share of innovation, but not so much recently. Dupe detection, that's not innovation, right? Dupe detection is an industry, it's in the industry. It's been in there for a long time. For years and years and years, people have been requesting that. Finally, they caught up with dupe detection. Projects is analogous to sequence in Premiere Pro, and didn't it used to be a sequence in Final Cut Pro? It wasn't a project before 10. It was a sequence, I believe. A project opens in the timeline as well as clips, sync clips, multicam, compounds, etc. A Final Cut Pro project is a timeline. It's one specific timeline. Every project is one specific timeline. When I say I'm working on a client's project, I do not mean I'm working on one specific timeline. It means I'm working on the entire project. That's more of a standard, project being all-encompassing. So in Final Cut, a project is a timeline. Click on a project, it opens a timeline. Click on a project, it opens a timeline. Like you said, Premiere calls it a sequence. I think Final Cut Pro used to call it a sequence. There is some little tolerance here. Even Blackmagic calls the 709 gamma curve, which is blah, 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 Rec 709. The Rec 709 is just the color space, the secondary wheels Da Vinci calls them today, log, and they don't change some of the terms. I understand that, but why not call it dupe detection? Apple calls it duplicate clip detection. Let's go back to the page here. Quickly locate media that appears in more than one project, more than once in a project using highlighted clip ranges or the timeline index. Why not say dupe detection? Quickly locate media that appears more than once in a project using highlighted clip ranges or timeline index. Why not include dupe detection in this description? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, we're just talking semantics, actually. It's just semantics, but it's, I call a project the all-encompassing folder that everything is in, including the library, the events, and the story, the timelines. Apple across the board has always been a company that's done things their own way. Is this really surprising at this point? No, not at all. It's just a comment. It doesn't interfere with the way I edit. It's just a comment. Final Cut is awesome, but it could be great if they added some features we've been waiting for since day one of Final Cut Pro. Absolutely. I got a list of 80 or 90 that they need. The dupe detection was one of them, albeit I no longer favor any track-based LA, but I will use it if I must. So I use Final Cut as my primary, but I also like Resolve and I like LumaFusion on the iPad. Yes, a project is a timeline, but a timeline is not a project. It is in Final Cut, right? Isn't it? You can't have you click on a timeline and you do reveal in Finder or it comes up to the project. FCPX with M1 and machine learning has a great future. Absolutely does. I agree 100%. It's been 11 years. Time for a rewrite. It's not going to be rewritten at the pace that they've been updating it, that's for sure. Isn't dupe detection an Avid term? It could be, but it seems to be an industry standard term. When I've heard dupe detection over the years, I didn't think of Avid, I just thought of dupe detection. Okay, Nathan says Premiere calls it duplicate frame detector, I believe. Okay, I understand what you're saying. If it's strict, if Avid used that term, that could be the reason why Final Cut did not use the term. But dupe detection to me is not Avid specific. Maybe Avid was the first to use it. I don't know. Anyway, it's not that important. It's just something I find a little peculiar. So here we go. Improve the clarity of speech. Requires Monterey 12.3 or later. Optimize playback and graphics performance for the M1 Max and M1 Ultra on the new Mac Studio. What about my 6-month-old MacBook Pro with M1 Max? You didn't optimize for the M1 Max and the MacBook Pro? You only optimized for the Studio? Come on. Optimize for all the M1 chips, not just one. So what about audio isolation? What about it? I haven't used it yet. I will be using it. As a matter of fact, I just shot something yesterday for a local animal rescue. A little bit noisy outside, and I wanted to use it yesterday, so today's an appropriate time to have it. That's for sure. I don't think it costs anything to use dupe detection, but who knows? Maybe it does. But Apple's got plenty of money. They got enough money in Tim Cook's living room couch cushion to pay for that. So let's see what else we have. There's some other features here. Import Magic Movie and storyboard projects created with iMovie for iOS version 3.0 in the timeline. So in order to use Magic Movie and Storyboard projects, you have to start on iOS. The Mac version, the iOS version of iMovie. It looks like that. I was reading that Mac's sentence as just bad grammar. I guess the Mac Pro trash can is going to be lost in the dust. Well, is that 2013 when that came out? 9 years ago? Yeah, any Mac that's 9 years old is not going to be up to current standards. Major Final Cut Pro update, first to come or next Mac Pro? The Mac Pro for sure. We've been waiting for a major update to Final Cut Pro for 4 years. It's not coming. My expectations used to be up here, especially before the Final Cut Pro Summit. But now my expectations are down here, and they time after time meet these medium expectations. They don't exceed them. I wish they would exceed them. I'm not expecting any major updates to Final Cut Pro. Maybe when they do 11 at some point, but maybe when they jump completely to the M1 system for the new version of Final Cut in a year or two. But that's all right. That's all right. Let's see what else we have here. So adds Korean language support. That's good for if you're from Korea. I didn't know that was missing. I'm not sure why it would have been missing. Final Cut Pro also includes these additional fixes and enhancements. Attach titles and graphics to existing tracker data in the tracker options on screen control. Choose either pin to tracker or offset from tracker in the tracker options on screen control. So these are improvements in the on-screen tracker control. I think some of these were available in the inspector before, but instead of going to the inspector, now you can do it on screen. That's what they're telling us. Tracking editor automatically displays in the timeline when performing an object track. So that's interesting. These are all tracker improvements. This is good. These are all good things. Items attached to a track object can be scaled in X and Y sizes uniformly. So, Ivan says, I think they should have released the beta leak if Dupe voice isolation were the main two features. It took some of the other wow factors away. A little bit anticlimactic, I agree with you. But that's okay. Number one is I'm glad we got a sneak peek at the beta. I wish they'd do that all the time. That's fine. And there's some tracking. Some of these new tracking features are absolutely valuable to people who use tracking. So I like that as well. Improves reliability, tracker object improves reliability, send to compressor with a compound clip that it contains object tracker data. Improves functionality when selecting photos and videos with the photo browser. These are all improvements. Improve. Functionality when dragging photos and videos from the Photos app directly into Final Cut. There you go. Here you go. Improves performance when drawing waveforms. Now, a little bit awkwardly worded. Improves performance when drawing waveforms. Improves performance when Final Cut Pro is drawing the waveforms. I would have had that in there. Final Cut Pro is drawing waveforms. Just to be clear. Next version is Media Cut Pro. They're going all M with the Mac Pro and the M series. There you go. Media Cut Pro. So the next big thing we have to look forward to is NAB. Coming up, NAB, less than 2 weeks, 10 days, 11 days, something like that. I will be going to NAB, and you can follow along. Let me see if I have that there. I don't think I do. You can follow along on this channel, the YouTube channel, or the Facebook channel, whatever you want to. And I'll be starting when I get to the airport. Some of the videos I'm going to be doing are just going to be short little videos. I might start up the live stream at the airport, and because I get there over 2 hours in advance, and I'm bored for 2 hours. I have to wait for 2 hours, go through customs and all that. So I'll fire up a live stream talking about whatever's going on. I'm telling you, Final Cut Pro is going to have presence on NAB's show floor. It's been a long time since anything specifically related to Apple had a presence on NAB show floor. I can't tell you what it is yet. It is not Apple themselves, but it is in cooperation with Apple. Once the press release is out, I'll be able to share more information. But Final Cut Pro is going to be on the show floor. Okay? Eric says, it is not disconcerting that they had to add all these tracker enhancements just months after introducing it. Shouldn't they have been there from the start? Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. Maybe it was a little premature to release it, but that's okay. The tracker features were nice addition. They're just, these features are coming out 1 and 2 at a time. That's what they're going to be doing. That meets my medium expectations. Not the high expectations I had way up here 3 or 4 years ago. They've steadily come down to this level, so it meets expectations. It doesn't exceed expectations. I appreciate the rotate and flip video files feature added to compressor, especially for batch processing. GoPro videos, instead of rotating, use quick actions in the Finder. Yes. That's a nice feature. I haven't looked at the compressor feature, but that's certainly a nice feature. But I like to do it. I'd like to flip the video before I go to compressor, just to make sure that it's accurate the way I want it to be. All right, what do you think? Final Cut Pro 10.6.2, we've been waiting. I've been talking about it since last November, December, and January on these live streams. I kept saying NAB in time for NAB, prior to NAB. Well, it is prior to NAB, 10 days prior. The problem with waiting until NAB this year is NAB starts on a Sunday. And I looked back on the Final Cut Pro releases, and Apple did indeed release 10.4.5 on a Sunday, and I think they announced 10.4.1 on a Sunday and then released it on the Monday before NAB. So Apple does pay attention to NAB, but this is timed before NAB, not an NAB specific feature. So we got NAB coming up. 10.7 is coming, Garrett says. Certain it is. Of course it's coming. But that's not coming. It's not coming now. 10.7 will be out in the fall at the Apple event, right? In the fall at the Apple event. Let's see what those cats are doing. No cats. Where are they? They must be on the other side, the west side of the house. This is the east side. When the sun comes in the morning, I guess they're on the other side. This is my MacBook Pro that I really like. If I didn't go to NAB and I didn't go to the Creative Summit, I'm not working remotely right now, so I'll probably, if I wouldn't have gotten the MacBook Pro, but I need it for NAB so I can stream live like I'm doing right now. I use Ecamm Live, and it doesn't work on iOS or Mac OS. But I got this really cool app called, what is it called? It's something that I can stream to multiple platforms on my phone. I can stream to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch TV on my phone. So I'll be doing that some of the time. I guess I'll hold my excitement for Resolve. So when I'm at NAB, I'm going to start right off the bat filming from the show floor, and completely depends on my internet connection, whether I can stream that live. But I'll be filming. If I can't stream live effectively, I think I streamed live last time because I'm using my cell connection. I think I did. Yeah, I did. I have in the last couple of years. So the cell connection's strong enough that I can stream. I will be doing a combination of live streaming and filming. The film, I'll be taking the clips onto my MacBook Pro, and I'll be cutting up some of those, and I'll stream them when I'm back at the hotel with the stronger signal. Every day I'll do new clips. Gert says, cats are all editing. That's correct. They're editing. I was hoping for 4 or more nice features. I'm with you on the medium expectations. This is ho-hum released to me. I don't think the feature itself, this is okay for like a point update, but we haven't had a real point update for 4 years. 10.5 was ho-hum, 10.6 was ho-hum. So we haven't had that big full point feature update that we had in the past. That something has changed over there at the Final Cut Pro team. So 10.7, be the same. I would like the Final Cut Pro team to raise my expectations, but they haven't done it for years. It's okay. It's like a medium level expectation. It's not low, medium level. They didn't raise it this time. It's right there in the middle. I see you are putting a keyboard protector. I just received mine. It is good in night, but looks gray in the day. I hate that, but I'm keeping it. I don't use the keyboard for my Mac Pro. If you've noticed, there's a keyboard protector, but I don't use this. I use this. I use this keyboard. So I don't use my Mac Pro keyboard. I will be using it at NAB, and if I indeed go to the FCP Creative Summit, I'll be using it there. But I use this keyboard. First off, I need a keypad. Please, I'm not editing without a keypad. That's all there is to it. I'm not editing without a keypad. I'll do limited stuff at NAB with this one, with my MacBook Pro, but I'm not editing without a keypad. I mean, a numeric keypad. Maybe they've just been so hard at work on 11 all this time while simultaneously having to trick out little things that keep our interest while waiting. Some of these features are cool. I mean, since 10.4.9 came out and they did the proxy workflow improvement, that was fantastic. I love that. 10.5 came out, nothing there. 10.5 came out for the M1 Max, but what about all the Intel people? Where's the love for them? 10.6 came out, a couple of features. Those are full point updates. They're nothing compared to 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, or 10.4, or some of the updates that we had in between those. 10.5 and 10.6 are just 1 or 2 features, M1 improvements. That's all. Not like 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, or 10.4. Those were the glory days of Final Cut Pro. The full point updates meant something big was happening. Evers Nature Photography says he agrees. So are they working on 11? I guess they probably have somebody working on 11, but I don't expect that for years. Maybe 11 will be the M1 only, the Apple Silicon only version of Final Cut. But they still have over a year to go with Mac OS running on Intel and Apple Silicon over a year, because they'll announce WWDC, a new version of Mac OS. It'll come out in the fall. So this is, say, September arbitrarily. That Mac OS that runs on Intel and Apple Silicon will last for 2022 until the following September in 2023. At least that much, if not another one after that. So as long as the Mac OS is supported on Intel and Apple Silicon, I expect Final Cut Pro to do the same. Maybe Final Cut Pro 11 will be Apple Silicon only, because that'll be years from now. Over a year anyway. So we have NAB coming up, right? We do indeed. And let me just check on this real quick. There we go. So if you want to support me while I'm going to NAB, buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. This is the web page right here. Supporters, people buy 1 coffee, 2 coffee. Some people buy 3 coffees. Some people buy 5 coffees. It's not just for coffee, but I will be drinking a lot of coffee at NAB. This is how you can support me. This is how you can support my journey. It's very expensive to go to NAB. It's $1,500 to $2,000 between those two numbers that'll be there. And buy me a coffee. Slip over there, buy me a coffee. It's buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. That's where you can buy me a coffee. That shows a little bit of support, $5 at a time. You can buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you like. Looking forward to your live coverage at NAB. I'll be streaming live as much as my cell connection will allow me to, but I will be streaming live multiple times every day. When I go get breakfast, I might get coffee and a bagel and a latte. I'll just turn on the camera and just do a quick thing. When I'm maybe on the monorail, I might do one. When I get there, I'll be streaming live. I won't be streaming live 24/7 or even 8 hours at a time. My cell connection was no way I can do that, but I will be filming constantly. I always film everywhere I go, behind the scenes kind of stuff. I will be filming that, and I will assemble clips, and when I get back to the hotel, I will assemble clips. Now I'm going to be busy Sunday night, and Monday night, and now Tuesday night. Sunday night is the Future Media Conferences. They have a party I'll be attending. Monday night is the Super Meet. Speaking of the Super Meet, Dan Berube will be joining us tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, to talk about the Super Meet at NAB. I'll be making that announcement officially, but I'm telling you it right now. And then Monday is Super Meet. Tuesday, I'm going to the amateur radio dinner. They're having ham amateur radio dinner somewhere at NAB. I'm a ham radio operator. My call letters are KC3RTV. KC3RTV. Final Cut Pro is still behind Avid in some important features for film editing. They can update their events so we can manage the clips choosing a different frame rate as thumbnail view. Okay, I'll take your word for that. Importing script in Avid, etc. They're right behind. Very sad for us because we still love the magnetic timeline. I'm not disagreeing with that. How many days is NAB? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days. I'm getting in Sunday morning and I'm leaving Wednesday, 11 o'clock or so. So I'll be there all 4 days, at least part of the way. Use your phone to make a magic movie. There you go. Maybe I will. I have to look in to see how that's done, but that's a funny point that you made there, Nathan. Maybe I will just do that exactly. So once again, go over there to buymeacoffee.com. You can buy a coffee. $5 a pop, I think it is. Some people buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. It probably won't be all coffee, but I will be drinking lots of coffee at NAB. Buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. All right. We need anything else we want to talk about before I get out of here? So I'll probably be doing a video as I'm gathering up all my cables and deciding what camera lenses to take. Not camera. I use my iPhone exclusively. I have 3 iPhones. I'll be taking all 3 probably. My main one, of course, will be the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But I might take a couple of lenses, Moment lenses. I have a Moment case that I can slap on Moment lenses on here. Anamorphic would be one, and I have a 2x zoom. I shot a video, it's really bizarre. I shot a video last Saturday night of a live band I went to see. And where I was positioned in the room is 5 members in the band. Where I was positioned in the room, the 3x zoom could only get 4 at a time. I could only get 4 band members, so I had to pan to the other band member. Keyboards or bass were being cut out. So if I had the 2x zoom with me, the optical zoom from Moment, I could have done maybe an optical anamorphic with that, and I could have got a wider, skinnier shot and got everybody in. But I didn't have it with me because I didn't think I would need it. The one was too far back. The one included all the tables and chairs and the stage. But the 3 times optical built into the iPhone only allowed me to get 4 members of the 5-member band at any given time. So I will be taking probably my anamorphic lens and my 2 times optical lens with me. Because I already have the case. No big deal. The lenses, I just hook them on there, screw them on there. And I'll do that when I'm at NAB. But anyway, I'll be heading to NAB. I think it's a week from Sunday. I'll maybe do a few more tests of equipment before I leave. I'll be streaming those live. There is an NAB 2022 specific playlist on my YouTube channel. What does that mean? Yeah, less than a minute ago. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, let me just listen 1 second. Is it up? It's there, right? Yeah, you guys are hearing me, so it's up. But let me just check here. Oh, you know what? It's really bizarre. There must be some things that are down today because I'm having a heck of a time connecting. I'm glad this connection made it. Let me see if Facebook is up. Yes. They have a few. All right, everything looks good. I have problems connecting today. I don't know why. Some of the things are having problems connecting, but I can't, I don't know what. I went on down detector, something, whatever that was. There's a whole list of things that were down today. Have trouble connecting to my bank and stuff, but anyway. So things are a little bit funky. Now, have I gotten any comments from Facebook? I don't think I have. These are all comments from YouTube. I don't see any from Facebook. So if you're commenting on Facebook, I'm not getting the comments. Well, we got one. We got one from Facebook. Let me see. Yeah. There are comments on Facebook. I'm not getting them in this live stream, though. That's for sure. Let's check on the cats. No cats in the cat room. They must be on the other side. They must be on the other side of the house. Let's see what we have here. Oh, there we go. Hey, we got a comment from Facebook. The Facebook comments, they're coming in weird because I got some other comments that did not come in. So Coco says, yes, there's a Facebook icon there. They're coming in. Some of them. It depends on which Facebook group you post them in. If you don't post on my main page, I don't think I get them. But whatever. See, we got some comments. Thanks for the heads up. Absolutely. Yeah, there's comments that aren't coming through. 10.6.2. Like I said, we saw the beta leak, the Apple-approved beta leak, which is very, very unusual. But that's okay. I like that beta leak. I like that Apple loosened up a little bit and allowed the beta leak to get out before the actual release of 10.6.2. I like that better. It's like we're almost part of the beta team, and we can talk about it at the same time. All right, everyone, I think we're pretty well done for the day. Anything else going on in the Final Cut Pro? I know Final Cut Pro compressor was updated, Motion was updated, Logic was updated a few weeks ago. I don't think Logic was updated, so. A whole bunch of things were updated today. Whole bunch of things. All right, everyone. Anything else going on in the Final Cut Pro community that I don't know about? I'm going to make copies of my apps before I update them. But in any event, I'm going to be posting. Oh, I was going to show you that, but you know what? I can't because it wasn't updating on my web page. Let me see. Motion was updated too, but the first update seems like a Band-Aid. Yeah, kind of. Kind of like a Band-Aid. That's very true. Cats all jumped into a secondary timeline. Whoops, project. Absolutely. Well, Final Cut calls it as timeline. They call it a project, and they call it, you can have a storyline. It's a storyline as well. So all three. I don't know if they have discussions about some of that stuff, but I'd like to help them. I would like to help them with some of this stuff. So we have NAB. The next thing is coming up. I'll be reporting from there. There will be a Final Cut Pro-centric place to go to at NAB this time. There hasn't been for a while. There wasn't in 2019. Frame.io did a lot of Final Cut Pro stuff at that point, but there was no Final Cut Pro-centric place to be. Blackmagic will be there, and which has a big show floor. Philip Allen says, thanks for your show. Keeps me interested in Final Cut Pro. Absolutely. I like Final Cut Pro quite a bit. I'll be doing, like I said, I'll be doing these now through NAB. I'm going to do a couple that have to do with what I'm taking to NAB, what I've decided to take. Microphones, cables. I'm taking a monopod. I'm taking a couple of desktop things that I'm going. I'll be using, I haven't decided yet if I'm using my laptop camera when I stream live from the hotel room, or I'm going to use my iPhone on a little tripod. I might be using my iPhone. I think it's a better camera. Has anybody streamed from their new 2021 MacBook Pro's 1080p camera? I know the display, the studio display has some issues, but I'm not sure if the MacBook Pro camera is as good as my iPhone camera. So I can stream with one of these three cameras facing me on a little tripod behind my MacBook Pro, and I can monitor the stream on the MacBook Pro itself. That's what I think I'm going to do. As far as the mic's concerned, probably I'll be using the Rode Wireless Go 2s under my shirt. I also will be having a small shotgun. I might use that in the hotel room. It's a real skinny little medium shotgun. I might use that. I like the sound of that mic a lot. Looking forward to the announcement. So follow me at youtube.com/RichardTaylorTV. Don't forget that. And don't forget, buymeacoffee.com, Richard Taylor. That's how you can support my trip to NAB. So, Nathan says, MacBook Pro cam not bad, iPhone better. That's what I thought. I think this iPhone 13 Pro is going to be my main camera, even when I'm in a hotel room. I'll just set up I have a small little desktop tripod I'll use to put the iPhone on. So I can hook it directly into my MacBook Pro with a lightning cable, and then I can use it as a camera source in Ecamm Live. I can use it as a camera source, and I can broadcast, but I'll be doing better audio. Between the Rode Wireless Go 2, I have the Go 2s and that one little shotgun. I'm probably use the Rode Wireless Go 2. It's going to be simpler for me. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. I haven't looked and seen how that went with the new cable, the Lightning to USB cable. I haven't tried it yet on my Mac. I will try it out before I go. All right, everyone, I'm going to head out of here. What time is it? Oh, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for dinner. I think I have a sub waiting for me today. I think cold cut Italian sub. It's these giant subs we get from this local deli. I think that's what I got for today. Anyway, subscribe over there at YouTube, youtube.com/Richard Taylor. Follow along on Twitter, Richard Taylor TV. Follow along on Twitter, Richard Taylor TV. Twitch TV is Richard Taylor TV. Instagram, I think I have 4 or 5 cat pictures up so far. I'll be posting some things on Instagram too going forward, photographs, short videos for NAB. I'll start putting some stuff on there, populating some Final Cut Pro stuff as well. Right, everyone? I appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget, support me over there at buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. $5? Can't afford $5? Of course. I'd appreciate it. It just shows a little extra appreciation. And I'll see you again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Dan Berube, and we're going to talk all about the super meet at NAB. What's changed? What's the same? What you can expect. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Final Cut TV. Dan Berube from the Super Meet. We will be on tomorrow. Talk to you all later. Enjoy 10.6.2.